Hey guys, Mavis here with you. And today is going to be a very hard video for me to record. And I'm sorry for the way that I look, and sorry for being a hot mess right now, but I feel like maybe this will be a little bit therapeutic for me, so I'm going to try to do this as best I can. Um, I'm just going to start off by saying that my heart is broken right now. Um, I found out that I was pregnant about 5 weeks ago. About 5 weeks ago, I think. I don't even know what today is. I'm here in my Minecraft world just because I feel safe here. I'm not being chased by zombies, and I just needed to talk to you guys. Or just record how I'm feeling right now. So yeah, my best friend had her baby in October, and then about a week later, I found out I was pregnant, and I was so excited. I was so excited about it. We had been trying for a little while, and I didn't say anything to anybody. I didn't want anybody to know that I was trying because I didn't want to feel pressured. Sometimes you do. Some people are, just kind of annoying that way. So I didn't want to tell anybody. And then you're always kind of uncertain whether or not you should tell people when you do find out that you're pregnant, just because things can happen and you never know how things are going to turn out. And my best friend was the first person I told. I sent her a picture of the pregnancy test that I took, and then I told a gal at work that I knew that I was pretty close with, who's kind of like a mom figure to me. And then I had this really cool idea to tell my husband that we were gonna have a baby, and I saw it on Pinterest a couple months ago when I was, starting to think about things and how I would tell him. And it was a photography session, and we have a really good friend who's a photographer. She just started her own business, and I had asked her a couple months ago. I showed her the idea, and I said, hey, if this is something that happens, do you think you would be interested in helping me do this, helping me show my husband, surprise him with it, basically. And she was on board with it. So Monday I found out I was pregnant. Tuesday I sent her a text message, and I was asking her how much her photo sessions were and if we could do it sooner than later. And she kind of gave me the information and said, are you trying to tell me something? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, oh my god, I'm so excited for you. Is Bob gonna be mad that I know before him? And I was like, he will totally get over it. It will be fine. So we set up a session to do pictures that Thursday. And basically the idea was to take a chalkboard. I did like a foam board, and I told him that we were going to just write a sweet message on the board, and then we were going to turn around during the photo session and just kind of capture that moment of saying something sweet to each other. And he was a hot mess. He was, he's not a very creative guy. He's a man. That's just how men are. He was having a hard time with it, and I was just like, just keep it simple. Just say I love you to the moon or back, or just something like that. And so I was looking at sweet messages to say and sending him pictures and things. And that whole week, it didn't even matter. What he was going to write didn't even matter. It doesn't, the whole thing was going to be that I was going to write, we're having a baby. That was the whole idea behind it. So the whole week he stressed out about it, and it was really funny. And I had to work the day that we did the photo session, and he was at home, and he was freaking out about having the right markers and all this stuff. And I didn't tell him specifically, but I didn't do my board until we got there. The pictures are of me writing on the board what my message was. And he wrote his out ahead of time, and he was like, well, how am I going to hide it from you? And so I said, well, just cover it up with the board that's still blank, and then we'll get there. So we took our dogs with us, and I told him that the whole idea was to try to get these pictures for like our family members as a Christmas present, and I just thought it would be something sweet. We've never actually had like our pictures taken together. The last set of pictures that we had done was our wedding, so I figured this would be something kind of different to do. And so we had the pictures taken. We had our dogs with us so that we could have pictures of our dogs taken, because they're getting older and they're not going to be around forever. So I just thought it would be cool to have them in the picture. I'm actually going to show you guys the pictures. I'm going to try to make an Imgur board. I don't really know a lot about Imgur. I know how to just kind of do some stuff, but I'm going to try to figure it out so that I can have them all together, pieced together, and I'm going to kind of try to maybe write some things on how everything was going at the time. So you'll see some of the pictures. So we start off with pictures of me and of us and the dogs, and we were out in a public like park, and we have hunting dogs. They're bird dogs, and they're very, all they want to do is hunt. So they weren't very enthralled and, you know, paying attention and looking at the camera, and they're dogs, but they were good pictures. They really showcased their personality, so I'm happy about that. So then we put them back in the truck, and we got some more pictures of just us, and then we walked over to a different part of the park, and we did the pictures with our boards, and like we had it so that we were facing away from each other, and then my husband was facing me with his board, and I turned around and saw it and captured the moment of me going, "Aw," you know. And then he had his back to me, and I was sitting down on this crate, and I was writing the boards, and I was just kind of doing the like shh thing and writing on there, and then I turned it around, and he saw that we were gonna have a baby, and he was so excited and so happy, and he told me that he had suspicions, and he thought that maybe because I didn't do my board that's what was going on. He just said that he has suspicions about it, which I thought was funny. So that was okay, so let me look at my calendar here real quick. I found out I was pregnant on October 26th, and the pictures were taken on the 29th, and then that weekend was Halloween, and on Halloween we had a wedding that we went to for a friend, and while we were there I started having some bleeding. And I'm sorry if this is too graphic and too much information for you guys, but I just kind of need to say it. So I had some bleeding, and I wasn't really concerned about it. I was a little concerned, but it wasn't a whole lot. And you can have some, you know, some women don't even know that they're pregnant for a couple months because they think they're having a period. So that Monday I called the doctor. That week, I had made an appointment because I wasn't sure how far along I was. So I wanted to try to find out, to be specific, that way I could get the medical care that I needed earlier if I needed to. So I had blood work done that Friday, and they drew my blood, and I remember telling you guys that I had blood work done, and that my arm was all screwed up. I still have a bruise there from it, and that was like 3 weeks ago, almost 4 weeks ago. And the blood count showed that I was right about 4 weeks. I was very early, so it was right at the time frame that I was thinking I was. And then that Monday I called and I told them I had the bleeding, and they said, let's do some more blood work and just make sure that your counts are still going up where they need to be. So I went back in and had blood work done on the other arm because they screwed up this arm so bad, and I still was going up. Like, the numbers were right where they were supposed to be. So I felt at ease. I felt like everything was great, everything was fine. And then that Friday, again, let me look at my calendar here. So that Friday, November 6th, I woke up and I had a lot more bleeding. And it was a little bit concerning. And I called the doctors that day when I got to work. And they said, this never happens, but we have a cancellation today for an ultrasound. Let's get you in. So we went in, and my husband was able to go with me for that appointment. And we got to see a baby and a heartbeat, and I was so excited. He told me at that point it was about 5 weeks and a day, and she said, right now it could be it's really early, and if we don't see a heartbeat, it's not a bad thing. It just could mean that you're not developed enough to have a heartbeat. So we saw a heartbeat, and it was so exciting. It was so awesome, and I felt so much better. So the doctor called me back and said, that was Friday. And then, so I felt better. I felt relieved. And then Monday, like over the weekend, I started thinking about it, and I never had really gotten like a clear-cut answer as to why I was having the bleeding. And so I called Monday to talk to the doctor, and she said, it's my friend, I'll call her back. So, where was I? So, I don't know where I was. Shit. um, oh, I called the doctor to ask him why I was having the bleeding, and they basically said that on the ultrasound they could see an area in my uterus. It was like basically like a large blood clot. They called it a large bleed, and it wasn't actively bleeding, but it's just a large area of blood in there. And she said that in some cases it's not a big deal. It'll be fine. Like it doesn't, it goes away on its own and it's fine. But mine was large enough that it could compromise the pregnancy, and they were concerned. So they wanted to see me back in a week to do an ultrasound. And unfortunately, that following week, again, let me look at my calendar just to make sure I kind of have the timelines right. Yeah, so that was on the 9th. And that Thursday and Friday, I was in Milwaukee with work. So I wasn't able to do an ultrasound that week. So I scheduled it for the first available that I could get, which was yesterday. And my husband had to work, and I didn't really think it was a huge deal. I just didn't make a big deal. I just wanted to get in there and have the ultrasound done and just to see where everything was. So the point of the ultrasound was to check to make sure and see that the baby was growing. And so I went in yesterday. It was at the end of the day, and I left work about an hour early. It's gonna get dark here and start creepering and things on me. Let me go sleep. I'm probably not gonna sleep. I'll probably just stand over here. So I'm trying to make it so that you guys have something fun to look at besides my ugly crying face. So I went to the appointment, and basically they were doing the ultrasound, and I'm not stupid, and from what I saw last time, and being a girl and being my age, I kind of know, I've seen enough stuff that I kind of know what everything is. And she wasn't zoomed in all the way yet, and she was measuring things and looking at things, and everything looked okay. And then she kind of zoomed in a little bit further, because keep in mind the baby at this point is the size of a blueberry. It's tiny. So typically you see like a yolk sac, like a little round sac. And I kind of wish I had my other ultrasound picture, but I don't. It's in the other room. So you see like a sac, and inside the sac is the baby. And so on the last picture, the last ultrasound, there was a little tiny flutter inside of it, and that was the heart beating. And this time when she zoomed in, there was like a bigger, darker mass, and I could tell that that was where the blood was, like the area of bleeding. And I didn't see a baby this time. I can't even think about it and talk about it without just crying. It's so awful. My heart is so broken. You guys don't even understand. It's just, I didn't realize that I wanted something so bad until it was there and then taken from me. It's the most awful thing ever. It's so hard. All I've done is cry. I woke up crying. I cried all night last night. It sucks so bad. And then on top of that, we've told all of our friends and family, and I have a coworker that she was pretty much the reason why we told everybody. Like, she said, even if something bad happens, you're gonna need the support of the people that you love and that are closest to you. So I was like, okay, God, gotta go. And I told everybody that day, and she was right, but it's really hard that every time I see somebody, and I haven't even really seen anybody today, but like, I stopped at my mother-in-law's house after the appointment, and it was really awful because I was there by myself. My husband had to work because I didn't think anything was wrong. I thought everything was fine. I still felt pregnant. But I was there by myself, and I'm kind of glad that I was, just because I wanted to deal with that on my own for that moment. Like, I just needed that moment, because as soon as she, the ultrasound technician, as soon as she zoomed in and I could see the dark spot, and I asked her, I said, what is that? She said it was the blood area. And then I said, well, I don't see the baby, so when you see the baby, can you please tell me? And she looked around a little bit, and then she stopped and she said, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stop, because as you can tell, things don't look the same as they did last time. And she said, I'm going to send this over to the doctor, and I'm going to have the doctor come in and talk to you. And I knew right then what was going on. I'm not an idiot. I'm not stupid. And I knew, and I'm kind of glad that I had just that moment to deal with it on my own. I prepared myself, and the doctor was very nice. There was a student in the room with us, which of course there's always a fucking student with you when you're at your lowest point in your life. So then I came home, and my mother-in-law and father-in-law live right around the corner from me, so I stopped at their house, and I was able to, get some support from them, which was nice. And they wanted me to stay, and I needed to go home and take care of the dogs and let them out and feed them and all that stuff. So I went home and waited for my husband to come home, and I called some of the girls that I'm closest to and told them, and it's just awful, like, reliving it over and over again every time I have to tell somebody, or every time somebody sends me a text message and I read it, and it's just, it doesn't feel real. It doesn't, like, before, when I found out I was pregnant, I felt like I needed something tangible to hold on to believe it. And I saw the heartbeat, and that was all I needed. And I felt like my heart expanded, and I was so in love with this baby. And now it doesn't feel real. It's so hard to believe. I don't know. I needed to tell you guys, and I needed you to know. And I just needed to say it out loud and have this moment recorded so that, I don't know, it feels like a diary, sort of. That's sort of how I feel about my YouTube channel too sometimes, is I'm able to express the things that I can't write down or I can't say to somebody. So I needed this. I feel like I told my husband, I said I was going to record this. He said, you don't have to. And I said, I know, but it feels therapeutic to me. And I'm sorry, 80% of my channel is men. I don't have a huge women. I mean, I'm not like a girly channel, and I'm sorry. I apologize to you guys out there, but hopefully maybe some of you have been through this with your wife or your girlfriends, and for some of the girls out there that watch this, maybe this can prepare you, or you've been through something similar. And if you have, please reach out to me and let me know how you dealt with it. Anything, I would appreciate it. Again, I'm sorry for being a hot mess on camera. I try not to be. But yeah, I'm gonna go really sweaty right now. I'm gonna go blow my nose and try to relax a little bit. And one thing I didn't talk about is I actually haven't miscarried yet. My body still thinks I'm pregnant, which is the most awful part about it. I still feel nauseous. I don't know, all the pregnant things. So I've got a doctor's appointment tomorrow to go and talk to an OB. And then we're probably going to schedule a D&C. And if you don't know what that is, Google it, look it up. I'm not going to explain it to you. But that way we can start over, and we're still going to probably try, but I was just really hoping for this baby. I didn't say also our due date was supposed to be July 2nd, and we were so excited about that just because I've always wanted a July 4th baby. My husband and I were married on 9/11, which is not a big deal. Everybody actually is like, that's stupid. Why'd you get married on 9/11? Well, it doesn't mean something bad to everybody, and I was kind of hoping to take a bad situation and turn it into something good. But that was the only day that was available when the year that we got married. Our actual anniversary was on the 12th, and I was shooting for that day, but it wasn't available, so we got married on the 11th. And people give me a hard time about that all the time, and if you give me a hard time about it, I'm gonna strangle you. I'll come to you and I'll find you. Sorry. Anyways, so we were just hoping that a July 4th baby would just kind of fit in with all of that. Like, my birthstone is blue, my husband's is red, and so just the red, white, and blue thing is just a big thing for us. We're not like, I don't know, we're Americans. We can be patriotic. We can have these silly ideas, but just the July 4th baby was just so cool. It was just everything that I was hoping for, and now it's not going to happen, and I've overshot that now, and I don't know, it's just really hard. And I'm not young. I'm not a spring chicken. Everybody's like, "Oh, maybe she looks so young," but I'm not. I'm 35, and that considered to be higher risk once you hit 35, and it's harder to get pregnant and all this type of stuff, and it's just something that weighs on me all the time. I feel like I have this large clock ticking. And I hear people say that before, and I've just thought it was kind of stupid, but I never thought I'd be 35 and struggling to be pregnant. It's just stupid. Just all of it. It makes me so sad. And thank you guys for listening to me, and I'll see you in the next episode.